Thank you for joining me for this August 2025 room reading. I felt inspired to choose just 3 runes today. And as you will see, Uras, Noith, and Is or Isa are the runes that came out when I chose, as I always do, with closed eyes. And when I cast them, this is how they fell. And as always, the way I read, the way they fall makes a difference. Although both Noeth in the center and Isa on the right are in their upright position, Uras is directly reversed. And as I read from left to right, I will start with Uras. And this rune is very much about structure. It's about the larger structures of life in an individual reading. It will be about things like housing, work, finances, the overall physical structures of life, but also the instincts that we have and the inclinations that feed into that are of great importance. But in this kind of reading, we are talking about the structures that are at work in our world, not just buildings, but mostly human-made structures, such as governance and the way that collective responses happen in situations. And there is a weakness here that is very clearly showing when Uras is reversed. It can be due to a lack of will, but more often it is due to an unwillingness to move forwards or a fear of the consequences of moving forwards. And this aspect is indeed highlighted by Noith. I always say that when Noith is present, there is something that is needed that is lacking, although, of course, that can be the knowledge to move forwards. It is more often the difficulty in reaching forwards when there are unknowns that have to be faced as a consequence of that. And there is, in a way, an unwillingness to act in the way that we would like to see action taken. It doesn't mean that no action is taken, but there would be a high level of demand or a high level of desire for differences in the approach taken, for in many aspects, the approach taken to be firmer, to be stronger, to have more resolve, to be more innovative. But one of the factors that is lacking is an unwillingness to let go from the sense of security that comes from maintaining the status quo, even when that status quo is actually providing a lot of insecurity. There is still an unwillingness to let go of it because, as I've already said, of the difficulty in embracing unknowns. But the embracing of unknowns would appear to be what is necessary, even with the unwillingness to do it in the month of August. But I'm also going to say, in some regards, we should see there is a strong likelihood of us seeing a necessity to embrace unknowns in some situations and some ways, to move forwards from the weakness of responses that is holding things the same, or maybe even contributing to making them worse. And on the right, we have Isa, which has a very different kind of energy. Isa is about stability, it is about holding back. And of course, sometimes the wise thing is to hold back. And the difficulty is determining in which situation is it wise to hold back and to wait, and in which situation is it wise to demand change. And we all have different opinions on that, although in some respects we sing from a very similar hymn sheet. Most of us would say we want more action where people are starving. Most of us would say that we want better ideas coming forwards for working towards peace, rather than just more of the same that allows the wars that have preoccupied our thoughts to just continue as they are, to drag on. Most of us would say we want more respect for groups of people and for genocide to become a thing of the past. But we also know that new structures for formulating peace are necessary because the old ones are not working. And I feel that August is a month that is going to highlight this and highlight the necessity for it, but not always, of course, in bringing up things that we really want to see, but in delivering the force that is necessary for change to happen, for the demand to happen, for there being a willingness to let go of what is that already is not working very well and to reach forwards for something better. But again, there is weakness when it comes to this, and that is what needs to change. On the left here with Uras, we have weakness. In the middle, we have a lack of what is needed. And on the right, we have Isa, which, although Isa likes slow, steady progress, and that isn't really what we can have at this time. It is not how life is, because this change of this theme of things being tumultuous that I very much highlighted in my July reading is definitely continuing here. There is no letter. In a way, it is there, and we have to respond, is the best way to look at it. I also, in my July reading, mentioned as a specific that there would be an Earth-centered event that would be truly exceptional within the Pacific Ring region, either July or into August. Now, we all know that on the 28th, there was a major 8.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Russia that generated a tsunami warning for much of the Pacific Rim area. And thankfully, due to the location, the situation was not too bad, and that warning could be recalled quite quickly with just minor happenings. However, I still feel that there is something else of a major nature. And when I talk about a major earthquake, I am talking about over 8.8, not below that, particularly in this area where there are so many large earthquakes and so much volcanic activity. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel that there is going to be another event of this nature, and we can only hope and pray that it happens in a way that it doesn't cause too much damage or lives to be lost. We can all hope for that, can't we? But I also feel the theme of extreme weather events is continuing through August, where there will be more storms than normal, not just extreme heat. And also, I feel in some areas, flooding, and here I'm talking about flooding, not flooding caused by tsunamis, flooding caused by extreme weather events or storms. I feel that this is a continuing theme that again is part of what we have to get to grips with. You know, if these are happening more, and they are, then how do we deal with that? How do we take action to help people, to protect people? These are all important questions that need perhaps different answers to the ones that we've had in the past. So, in summary, here, there is this theme of weakness to action, if I can put it like that, or unwillingness to act in new ways, and a fear of moving forwards by the major powers, I'm going to say, in this regard where nature is concerned, but also where so many factors in our world that are not working very well, and particularly where conflict is concerned, that it seems that the month of August is quite a critical and quite a powerful point. And as I'm saying that, it's like I can visualize Uraz and Isa, the two runes on the left and the right, pushing together and squeezing Noith, which to me is a push for action. And in some ways, I feel there will have to be responses from different nations. I also feel that where governance is concerned in individual countries, that there is this continued upheaval, this continued sense of something else beginning, of uprising, of changes of governance, of chaos in many different countries. And I know that over the last week, we've had a new political party announced in the UK, in which there has been considerable interest expressed. And to me, this can only be a good thing, that something new is starting to come forwards in not just in the UK, which is my birthland, but in different countries within the world. There is a need for change, and one can only hope that where there are uprisings and upheavals, that these are going to be as peaceful as possible. We know they won't always be, unfortunately, but I feel we should keep hoping for what we would like, keep hoping for positive change, even though we don't exactly know the form it will take, because that hope in itself is a positive force in the universe. And we all need positive forces. We all need to be contributing, I feel very much so, to the thought field that is around the earth at this time, because it does make a difference. And one point I would like to mention here is that when people disagree, as they will do, insofar as it is possible, we voice that disagreement strongly and powerfully, but recognizing that other people have an opinion too. In other words, without generating hatred, because there is too much hatred already in this world. We can all see it. We all know it. So to try to disagree powerfully but respectfully, whether we are doing so with a contact on Facebook, someone we meet face to face, or something that we do not hold well with that is going on in the world, that we at least try to voice things in a way that is both positive, talking about what we want rather than what we don't want, but also in a way that reflects peacefulness and does not add to the hatred. Of course, we can be disgusted by something, we can be outraged by something, and we can voice that outrage, but not in a way that expresses hurt towards any other party. For me, that is where the difference lies. Now, I do offer personal readings, and you can find details either on my Facebook pages or at my website, K Cook Spirit Wings. But I send my good wishes for August, and I sincerely hope that things work out in the best possible way, because everything that I have mentioned here, the runes show likelihoods, intuitions show likelihoods. There is capacity for change if people decide to do differently. And it's important to remember that nothing is set in stone. Thank you for joining me.